Let me ask you something honest. What if the reason your life keeps repeating the same problems is not bad luck, not people, not even circumstances, but decisions you barely notice yourself making? Not the big dramatic ones, the small ones, daily ones, the quiet ones. That's where the book of Proverbs begins. And that's why most people misunderstand it. Because Proverbs doesn't comfort you like Psalms. It doesn't sit in silence with you like Job. It looks straight at you and asks, why do you keep choosing this? Proverbs is part of the wisdom books of the Old Testament. But don't think of it as religious poetry. Think of it as ancient psychological intelligence. Short, sharp, sometimes uncomfortable. This book doesn't argue with you. It observes you. Here's the thing. Proverbs wasn't written for people in crisis. It was written for people before the crisis, before the breakdown, before the regret, before the apology you wish you didn't have to make. It's preventative wisdom, and most people ignore preventative wisdom until damage is already done. Proverbs talks a lot about patterns, not events, patterns of speech, patterns of behavior, patterns of thought, because life usually doesn't fall apart in one moment. It erodes, slowly, quietly. Let's make this modern. Someone keeps getting into toxic relationships. They say, why does this always happen to me? Proverbs would ask, who are you ignoring the first time they show you who they are? Someone keeps struggling financially. They say, I just need more money. Proverbs would ask, how do you treat money when you already have it? Someone keeps burning bridges at work. They say, people don't respect me. Proverbs would ask, how do you speak when you're frustrated? That's Proverbs. It doesn't shame. It exposes patterns. One of the most repeated ideas in Proverbs is this: wisdom is not intelligence. You can be smart and still destroy your life. Wisdom is applied understanding, knowing when to speak, knowing when to stay quiet, knowing when to walk away, knowing when to wait. Proverbs talks a lot about words, because words create outcomes. It says things like, careless speech cuts like a sword. A gentle answer turns away anger. That's not poetry. That's conflict psychology. Think about modern arguments. Texts sent too fast. Emails written emotionally. Social media posts made in anger. Proverbs would say, pause. Not because you're weak, but because impulse is expensive. Another major theme is discipline, not punishment. Discipline. The ability to do what's boring now to avoid pain later. Proverbs doesn't glorify hustle. It glorifies consistency, daily effort, daily restraint, daily choices. That's how lives are built. And that's also how lives collapse when ignored. Proverbs also talks about pride. A lot. Because pride blinds before it breaks. It says, pride goes before destruction. Not immediately. Before. Which means by the time destruction shows up, pride already did its work. Modern pride looks subtle. It looks like, I don't need advice. I already know this. I'll figure it out later. Proverbs gently warns, later is expensive. Another uncomfortable truth Proverbs teaches. Your circle shapes your future. It talks about who you listen to, who you walk with, who influences you. Not because people are bad, but because behavior spreads, energy spreads, mindset spread. Proverbs doesn't say isolate yourself. It says choose wisely, because you become what you normalize. Money is another big topic, and Proverbs is brutally practical. It doesn't say money is evil. It says loving money blindly is dangerous. It talks about debt, impulse spending, quick gain schemes. Basically, nothing new. We just ignore ancient advice and repeat modern mistakes. One of the deepest ideas in Proverbs is patience. Not passive patience, strategic patience. The ability to delay reaction until clarity shows up. That alone would save most people from regret. Proverbs also understands human emotion. Anger, envy, laziness, desire. It doesn't pretend these don't exist. It teaches how to manage them before they manage you. If Job asks, why is this happening? And Psalms asks, how do I survive this emotionally? Proverbs asks, how do I live so I don't keep coming back here? That's the wisdom arc. Proverbs isn't flashy. It won't trend on social media because it requires responsibility. And responsibility isn't exciting, but it works. One of the quietest but strongest lessons in Proverbs is this. Character is built when no one is watching. How you talk when you're tired. How you act when you're annoyed. How you choose when shortcuts are available. That's the real test. Proverbs doesn't promise success. It increases probability. It doesn't guarantee happiness. It reduces unnecessary suffering. That's realistic wisdom. And here's the thing. Most people already know what Proverbs says. They just don't like what it demands. Because wisdom costs ego. Proverbs doesn't care how spiritual you sound. It cares how you live, how you speak, how you choose, how you react. This book has survived thousands of years because human behavior hasn't changed. Different tools, same impulses, same consequences. Proverbs isn't emotional. It's surgical, and sometimes that's exactly what growth needs. Not comfort, correction. So if you feel stuck, not broken like Job, not overwhelmed like Psalms, just stuck, repeating patterns, same mistakes, same results, Proverbs is for you. It won't hug you. It will guide you. And if you let it, it will quietly change your life one small decision at a time.